It was fun to make, and people make really good questions that I don't really think myself when I do the podcast. So it's always really fun to make those Q&As.
Well, I have some outside work to do, so maybe I'll put it on my phone while I'm doing my outside work today.
Yeah, I always try to listen to a podcast when I'm doing the dishes or something.
Or laundry or something.
Yeah, something. Something to keep me busy.
Multitasking.
Yes. I wanted to ask more about John's character. Would you like to tell how you started to develop him?
I think I've written so many books, and the way that I come up with books, with stories, I think a lot about the stories before I ever sit down to write, and I write out of order. A lot of people sit down and they start with the first word of chapter 1, and the last thing they write is the last word of the last chapter, and then they go back and edit it. But I don't really write that way, so I skip around, and if I have an idea for, I think this would be a funny scene, or this is an important conversation I want to get in, I'll write that part. So I write the pieces and then I put it all together. That's kind of a hard thing for me to answer because I don't sit down and a lot of people will sketch out their characters, like this is what they look like and these are their characteristics and this is their backstory. But for me, it kind of comes from the interactions or the conversations or the important pieces that I think of and then get down first, and then I kind of fill the rest of it in. I can't really give you a good answer to that. Kind of what I did was, or watching the adaptations and reading the original, I would make note about things that the original character did or said or his backstory, and then I just kind of, as I was writing, kind of tried to incorporate those and modernize them and add a little bit of my own flair, which kind of came together. Each draft, my characters become more concrete and more well-rounded because I am kind of fleshing it out. My first drafts are not very complete. It's a lot of conversation and banter and a little bit of description, and then I go in and layer them until the books end up longer and with more subplots and characters become more real to me. So I guess that kind of answers your question.
It was a good answer. You start to shape the character from the conversations.
Yeah. I might come up with ideas later.
Hello, friends. It is Niina from the Little Woman podcast. Just to let you all know that the Little Woman podcast episode transcripts are now available as books. You can find them as paperbacks and ebooks. They are wonderful reading for all the fans of Louisa May Alcott. You can find all the links from the description. And now, back to the show.
And then I have to go back in and make it consistent. This character likes whatever. Well, now I have to go back in and make sure they like that team or food or whatever from the beginning to the end. I guess my characters kind of develop along with the plot and the theme. And
I was thinking how in your story, John's mom is an alcoholic. And then I think in some Louisa May Alcott stories, there are some characters who could be described to be alcoholics. In Rosie Bloom Charlie, he does have a drinking problem. Somebody commented, I think maybe it was some Little Women discussion group, that they are convinced that Louisa May Alcott knew someone with a drinking problem based on Charlie's behavior.
Well, that for me kind of developed because I wanted to figure out how to get him, my John character, to be living at the Lawrences. And if you had a stable home, you wouldn't think, maybe I should go live with these people I'm working for, because you would just drive the 5 minutes to work for them and you'd go home. So partly I knew I wanted him to have an unstable family life to get him to be in a position where he would be living there. So he would be next to the Marches and kind of having that little brother relationship, having Laurie kind of as a little brother as well as a tutor. who he was, or a tutee, I guess. So that was kind of where that started. In the book, his mom had been sick, the original, and you wouldn't like up and ditch your mom if she was like, oh, I have cancer or I have whatever. It had to be more of an emotional, mental addiction kind of thing to facilitate him wanting to move in with them. So that's kind of, I think, how I ended up working that in.
Yeah, I think if John's mom would have been like deadly ill, he would not have left her. He's that kind of a character.
I had to make him want to leave.
I wonder, do you think Laurie might have had some kind of ADHD or problems with focusing?
Maybe.
Yeah. When I read Little Woman last time, I felt that he really struggles to focus on one thing at a time. Like I hear sometimes people say that Joe has problems with that, but I think Laurie has them even more.
Yeah, but if Joe is interested in something, she will for days obsess over that.
Yeah.
So I don't think she pays attention to what she wants to. Yeah. I wonder if Laurie did have some kind of a attention deficit. She's always looking for any kind of a distraction almost.
I do feel that when I read the book, like the whole sequence of him is trying to decide if he wants to be with Joe or with Amy, it feels the same. Like he cannot focus on composing the opera when he dreams about one girl and then he dreams about the other girl.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have had any kind of words for that back then.
No.
Labels, or you would just kind of be seen as kind of spacey probably.
Maybe an undiagnosed ADHD.
I wouldn't be surprised.
In your version, he really had struggles with school. That's why he needed the private tutor.
It was kind of almost more like he didn't care. You got to stay on task, kid.
After he was rejected by Joe, I think he said to his grandfather that the whole college was like labor lost or something.
He was trying to be the person that she would want.
And it didn't work.
No.
It's kind of sad. Maybe he should have gone to study music or something. He went to have internship with his grandfather after that. Yeah, in the original.
There's so much in that book. We could read it over and over and over and still get something new.
That is
Every
true.
time I read it, I do. I notice something that I didn't notice. Seems like it works out all right for everyone in the end, except for poor Beth.
So in your version, Laurie's mom was a musician and his father was also a musician.
His mom was a music teacher and his dad is like a famous musician in mine.
And his grandfather didn't like his mom.
Didn't want her to get involved in all that stuff. Because she was kind of being a typical teenager and a little whimsical about, we were talking earlier about, becoming an actor isn't really something that any parent would love to hear, but, I want to be a musician following a famous band around. Probably wouldn't be something that you'd want to hear your child say either.
Probably that's why Laurie wanted to be more involved with music, is because he felt connection to his parents. Thank you so much for coming here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I always like talking with you.
Yeah.
You always have some insight that I've missed in Little Women.
So do you. I always enjoy to hear your thoughts.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad you enjoyed the second book, and I hope you enjoy the third and fourth.
I believe I will. Thanks for coming here. And I will talk to you again later. Have a nice night. And have a nice day. I'm going to have a nice night.
Yes, you have the nice night, and I'll have a nice day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. That was our discussion for today. Thank you so much for listening. Take care and make good choices. Bye.